On this episode of Darkness to Light, we interviewed Gale Glassner Twersky, a renowned hypnotherapist of 21 years. She discussed how she got involved with hypnotherapy and how it can be used to reprogram the subconscious mind to overcome anxiety, depression, and other mental and physical conditions.
This started as my soul's purpose. I was in a terrible car accident where I really should have been killed. The odds were so much for me being killed, and I wasn't. And I call them synchronicities, things that are way beyond the scope of normal occurrences. The odds of it happening are so great. So um, what I came to the conclusion was my life was saved for a purpose, and the purpose had to be to give back and to help other people. And so I was a high school English and speech arts teacher, and I took a course. It was an enrichment course on self-hypnosis because I was always so interested in how the mind worked. I was very curious, and that began my involvement with hypnosis. I learned self-hypnosis in the 3 sessions we met, and I used it to advance my tennis game. I used it for sleep. I used it for relaxation. I used it for when I was really upset. So I saw so many ways that it could help people. I said then, I was 23 years old, and I said, I've got to tell the whole world about hypnosis. This is so amazing. It can help in so many people in so many ways. I just have to tell the whole world. So I started to tell my family, and I told other teachers, and I told friends, and then I came to the realization that I was ahead of my time, and they weren't ready to accept what I had to say. And later on, several years later, a psychologist friend of mine said, weren't you interested in hypnosis? And I said, oh, yeah. She said, well, there's actually a certification in it. I said, what? I took her flyer she brought me. I called up, signed up that day, and I knew that's what I was meant to do, to give back. And I'm so grateful for that because I get such joy from helping people. I also learned I'm an intuitive, that I can know things ahead of time. I'm an empath, so I feel other people's feelings if they've got pain. I had a student who was, when I had a speech pain, had a terrible stomach ache, but I noticed it first. And I said, I don't think I can continue with this today because my stomach is really hurting. And she said, hers was too. And I said, look, this is serious. You have to see a doctor about this. I don't know if she would have done that if I hadn't directed her. But anyway, many, many ways that when I'm in session with people, I can often find the initiating event when they can't focus on it. And I've had times when spirit has actually spoken to me. So one time a woman came and she said, I've been to 15 other people, other hypnotherapists, medical doctors, psychiatrists, nobody can help me. I'm not lovable. No one can ever love me. And we started the session. I explained, well, let's see what happens. We'll see what started this. And I hear this woman's voice in my ear say, tell her Alice is here and I loved her. So I always ask permission of my client before I go on. And she said, yes, tell me what you've heard. And I said, well, this woman's name is Alice. And she said, she always loved you. And my client went, Alice, that's my grandmother. She always loved me. And she starts crying and she has her breakthrough. So that was pretty amazing. I think I've been given these gifts because I'm meant to do hypnosis. What I was able to do is I'm left and right brain. So I'm very artistic, I'm very creative, but I'm also science. And I've got to find out why things happen. So what happened for me is I found out how our subconscious mind works. Now, I don't know if all of you had any teaching in how your subconscious mind works. I know I didn't. I know many people I talked to never did. In fact, the word subconscious didn't become popular until probably the last 10 years. And so I am able to identify its clues that it gives us, that it has what I call program, a faulty subconscious program. So one thing the subconscious does is it takes in everything we say, everything we speak, everything we think. And if it's with strong emotions, it's automatically programmed as a program like a computer. So I use the analogy of a computer because it's so accurate. And what I found out is almost all problems, we're talking about 80 categories of issues that I've worked on. There's a part of your subconscious programming that's responsible for it. And it thought it was doing you a favor, it thought it was giving you pleasure or thinking this would help you or protect you. But it doesn't go back to reevaluate, did that program still work for you? Instead, it keeps defending it. So you could have started smoking when you were 15. You felt like really hyped up. Hey, I put one over on my friends. And your subconscious perceived that happy feeling and said, well, let's give him more feelings to keep smoking because that makes him so happy. Well, that may have worked for a while, but then there's this thing called lung cancer and all the other effects that smoking can have. But he tried to stop smoking and nothing would help because he didn't go to the right place. He didn't go to the head honcho, as they call it, your subconscious mind that's holding that program and defending it. So when it came to me, we found out what it was, and we literally talked to the subconscious because when you're in hypnosis, it's alpha, theta, or delta, sleeping if you're in delta. That's when your subconscious can be programmable to listen to your instructions and follow you. And I've learned how to motivate it. So that's how I've helped over 1,000 people to get over issues. As I said, over 80 categories of issues. You can probably throw something out at me and I'd probably say, yeah, I worked with that. So I'm working my soul's purpose. I want the whole world to know about this. I teach people how to do it on their own. I'm not here to have them keep coming back like some other people do. That's their main purpose. But mine is to help this world, to help everybody have a better life, less anxiety, better sleep, better relationships, better health, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope that's a shortened version, and that tells you a lot.
Gail, what are some of the problems that you're helping people deal with during this COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, there are multiple. One is depression, feeling really sad, like the whole world is coming to an end for them. They're losing their job, they're losing their apartment. Their kids are driving them crazy because they can't be in school. There's fear. People are losing their loved ones, and we have people that aren't even acknowledging that. We still have the virus. It's predicted to be much worse than it is right now. And so it seems like life is so completely changed, and people are desperate. So there's a lot of those emotions going on. There's anger. It's been a time like I've never experienced ever, or even heard of it. So it's chaotic, and what we need is peace in our own selves. We have control over our own subconscious mind. And by the way, your fears, your anxieties, your traumas are all stored like in a computer program. They're all there, and they all can affect you. So if you've had some terrible losses before, this is going to exacerbate things for you. And so what I suggest is that people keep releasing the negative thoughts, the negative emotions. If you want to look at the news, I do believe you should know what's going on, but the people that sit and watch for a long time, it's just constantly agitating you and hurtful. So you have to focus on what is positive. When you began, I said, the sun's shining, the sky's blue. I look for the positives, and I really wanted to create an audio for people. That's on my to-do list. My audios have been very successful. They're called hypnotic guided imagery audios, and they put you in that relaxed state. By the way, kids are in alpha all the time, so they are very receptive to getting our information and going in as the truth. So we have to be very careful what we say to our children. And the other thing, because they're like a sponge, which we know children are like sponges, but they're very programmable till they're about age 12 or 13. So I've been working with people on all kinds of issues, just a multitude, but mostly because of how they're affected right now. One of the worst things is that it's hard to know what the truth is. There's so many different people that change things up and lie and so forth, and people want some stability. They don't know what is the truth. One of my thoughts hearing everybody speaking is, it's very hard on us when people don't believe us. Like, we know with our own sight, our own feelings, our own brain, that certain things have happened to us. And in a much smaller way, I had to combat that when I was so excited about hypnosis, because nobody believed me, and they didn't believe that the mind can change the body. You can have a wound that won't heal because you've got diabetes, and you think it's just a medical thing, and then what happens is the medicines don't work or the therapies don't work, and then you think, well, I'm a donor, right? I'm going to die. But the answer is in your subconscious mind that can change things, and I've seen it happen. And that's why there's always something that we don't know, and there's always hope, and there's always a way. And I like to think that we have it within ourselves. We are very powerful beings, and we can find the way within ourselves. But as you were asking how many different subjects, it's almost endless. It's just really, really a difficult time for people.
Okay, Gail, take us through the steps that a client would go through when they're using your service.
Well, I've created something that's new from what I was trained to do. And again, I thank my higher power for this guidance. So what I do is I interview people. Our sessions usually run 5 to 7 hours, and they're done, because I create a recording for them that has what was discovered in it. I write a very specific personalized script for each client if they choose to do so. And the script tells them things, that courses, all the programming, all the things they want. It has their best life outlined in that script. And the scripts can be anywhere from, well, the shortest is maybe 10 pages, but the longest is 37 pages. And this is where my English background, I taught composition. I've written the book, Reprogram Your Subconscious, How to Use Hypnosis to Get What You Really Want. And I used all the skills that I've been given, the gifts I've been given, and the intuition, what the person needs. A lot of times in an interview, they'll tell me about certain things and it doesn't dawn on them, but I know the subconscious well enough to know that it had a big part in that trauma and it hasn't let it go. And that's why the person feels they're not good enough. That's a very common one. People think they're not good enough. Most people, we have a battered self-esteem, and we have to believe in ourselves and trust ourselves and accept ourselves and love ourselves. And that's one of the things that I teach with the approval of the client. So after the interview, I write the script, and then we have a recording, a hypnosis 2-hour session, and we literally talk to their subconscious and get it to change the programming. And all that is recorded except for the dialogue with the subconscious, because that can be boring, go on for a while, but I always summarize it. And then they get their recording by, a click of the computer. It's a digital program, so they get that usually within a few hours, or 24 hours the longest. And they listen to that for about 30 days and or nights. You can listen to it when you're sleeping, and it goes right in. And it changes people. So I'll give you an example. One of the strongest examples is I had a soldier that had PTSD for 18 years. No one could help him. Ministers, rabbis, everybody in the spiritual world, energy healers, medical doctors, et cetera, et cetera. 18 years he suffered. So he had most everything you can think of that a soldier might have, with friends of his dying in his arms and seeing, the terrible things of war. So in that case, and I do work over the internet, we were able to identify what happened and what to do. Wrote the script for him. And I said, don't tell anybody who might not be very, very positive about hypnosis, because people can sabotage you without meaning to. And I've seen that happen. So you don't tell somebody until you actually have your conclusion, your best outcome. So he said, okay, but after a couple months, and I worked with him for 6 hours a month total online for 8 months. So after the first, I'd say 2 months, his parents said, what are you doing? You're acting different, much better way. He said, oh, I'm reading some self-help books. And they said, oh, okay. Well, another month went by and they came to him again. They said, okay, what's really happening? Because this is amazing. And he said, if I tell you it's something you really don't approve of, will you be okay with it? And it said, whatever it is, it's helping you. We'll be happy. They told him he was doing the hypnosis and they were excited. And within 8 months, he was back to 90% normal. I'm still in touch with him. I actually had the pleasure of his parents inviting myself and my daughter there for dinner. So I actually met the whole family. And it was the most wonderful, amazing thing to see the change. And he's living such a wonderful life now. So it can work very quickly. And like I say, in 7 hours, having a recording and hitting the right faulty programs, I call them a faulty subconscious program, you're able to delete it and then download the positive ones. And it works for children. I've worked with a 4-year-old who had to have a second operation. If you can imagine, your right hand is the palm is facing outside and your elbow's bent. Well, they put a cast on that was incorrectly created, and she couldn't even touch her forehead, her head. And she's only 4 years old, and she was terrified. They had to do another operation. Well, her mother had done hypnosis with me before, and she asked if I might be able to help. Well, I explained it to a 4-year-old, and she got it. She understood that there wasn't going to be pain. She was going to have control. I gave her methods that she could have this numbing solution and place it wherever there was pain. And she, of course, would tell her doctor she was having pain, because you never know what exactly it's coming from. So the doctor has to know. But she went through the second operation. It was a 4-hour operation. And afterwards, the mother asked the doctor, well, how soon can she go home? And I think it was the nurse, not the doctor, excuse me. And the nurse said, well, not until she finishes her pain meds. She went home that day. She didn't need one pain med. She did the whole thing through knowing hypnosis. She listened to the recording a dozen times. And then when she came back for physical therapy, she didn't need physical therapy. And she had had her arm all twisted for 6 months or more, and she didn't need physical therapy. But in the recording, I put, you amaze your doctors. You heal so perfectly and so quickly. They're just amazed. And that's what happened. That's what happened. And the joy that you get, and I'm sure everybody here feels the same way with what they're sharing with people and the revelations, you can't describe it. It's such joy to see somebody have their life back, get over their fears, get over whatever horrible thing is bothering them. I had a lady that never heard that anybody loved her. She was in four homes, different homes, and her parents had abused her, et cetera, et cetera. No one had ever said, I love you. In the audio, she heard that she's lovable and precious and good enough and everything else, and it completely changed her. I just want to tell you one quick story.
Sure.
And it has a purpose to it. This is when I was a teacher, and I was very interested in ESP. I had taken a class in spirituality, and so the kids knew that I was an intuitive. And those days, I don't know what they called it, but anyway, one young guy that was somebody I knew from the school, a student, said, it was a Friday afternoon, "Oh, Mrs. Twersky, do a reading for me. Tell me what's going to happen." And so I said, "Okay." And then it was politically correct. Nobody said anything. So I saw North Dakota, I saw rifles, and I saw smacking lips, red, with lipstick. And he went, "Shh, Mrs. Twersky, don't say anything. My girlfriend's right over there." He had another girlfriend in North Dakota where he's going to go on a hunting trip. So he comes back Monday morning. "Ha ha, Mrs. Twersky, you were wrong. I didn't go on the trip." Okay, this is what can happen. Things can actually change from the moment you do your reading to the next moment. And then people say, "Oh, you're wrong. You don't know what you're doing." But I saw what was planned, and obviously he confirmed it. Right. But to him, I was off, because I didn't see he didn't go.
Yeah, because my motto is, this is what we see, and things can change, and you got free will, and nothing's written in concrete.
There you go.
Right.
Well, Gale, have you ever dealt with someone who has suffered from supernatural experiences? And if you have, what do you do to help that person?
Give them tools.
I've helped somebody who had a voodoo hex on her, and we were able to release it. So there are ways. In the subconscious, when you program something that you want and it knows how much you want it and it goes ahead and does it, it's harder for somebody to change or to make you do something that contradicts that subconscious program, because your subconscious is more powerful than your conscious mind or other people's conscious mind. At least that's my viewpoint. So it's very important that people have good programming in there and get rid of the faulty programs. But we are stronger than we probably know, just because that subconscious is so powerful. Just think of it. Subconscious runs all our autonomic systems. You don't have to think when you're going to blink the next time, or stomach, it's time to digest. Remember, it just automatically happens. But on the other hand, the subconscious also has something to do with what you remember, how you remember it, what emotions are doing. If your parents said, "Oh, you're just a spoiled kid," and then the rest of your life you thought there's something wrong, you were rotten, the parents didn't know that they were doing that, but that's what that sarcasm did. It went right into the subconscious as the truth. So I'll just leave with, there's so much more to know about our subconscious programming and how it can be our self-empowerment, which is what I teach. And that there are clues that it is your subconscious that's making you do certain things. If you aren't getting the wealth that you want or the mate you want, there's something programmed, almost surely, that's stopping you, and it's in your subconscious faulty program. So thank you so much for having me. I'm so sorry I have to leave at this point.
No, thank you, Gale.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gale. How can people get in touch with you, Gale?
Probably the best way is through my website, Gale, G-A-L-E, Glassner, G-L-A-S-S-N, as Nancy, ER.com. I'm also available on Facebook, Gale Glassner Twersky. I'm also available on Instagram, Gale Glassner. And the other ways, on Amazon, my audiobook and book are still on there too. So just about, well, there are lots of ways, but thank you for asking.
Thank you very much, and take care.